Hello everyone, in today's video we will be solving your exercises from throughout the week. So, let's get started. Here we want to describe the following using x. So here we have a number that, as it says here, is increased by 5. So that would be x plus 5. Here would be the double of the sum of a number and 7. So the double, so 2 times the sum of a number and 7. So x plus 7. X plus 7 is the sum of the number and 7. 2 times means double, right? A number decreased by 16. So that would be x minus 16. Quadruple of a number means 4 times that number, so 4x. Then the square of a number increased by 11. So let's say x squared. And then increase that by 11. Moving on. Okay, so here we have x plus 3, and we need to do basically the opposite of it, which is to turn this, describe it basically. So here we have, it's Greek or English, a number increased by 3. Below that is a number increased by 3, by 9, sorry. And then we have 3x means the triple of a number. Five x minus 1 means 5 times a number decreased by 1. X divided by 2 plus 5 means the half of a number increased by 5. We need to find which of these is correct to solve the equation. So we can just solve the equation. We could say that x will be equal to 15 minus 7. 15 minus 7 is 8. Or if you wanted to, you could plug in each of these, see which fits. So 6 plus 7 makes 13, so no. 22 plus 7 makes 29, so also no. So next here we have 96 minus x equals 15. So here we would do the trick where we swap the x and the number. So we'd have 96 minus 15 equals x. That means that x is equal to 81. There is worksheet number 1. Moving on. On to worksheet number 2. All right, 13 plus x equals 27. That means that x is going to be equal to 27 minus 13. So x will be equal to 14. Here we have 3 times 6 plus x equals 100. So I can do 3 times x before I continue with anything else. That would make 18. So we'd have 18 plus x equals 100. So we would have that x is equal to 100 minus 18, which is equal to 82. Next, we have x plus 35 equals 220. So x is equal to 220 minus 35, which means that x is equal to 185. Here we have x plus 3 squared equals 26. So x plus 3 squared makes 9. It needs to be equal to 26. So x must be equal to 26 minus 9. Therefore, x is equal to 17. Next up, we have y. 95 minus 37. It doesn't really matter that they're in the parentheses. Let's just do the subtraction there. We get 95 minus 37 would give us 65 minus 7, which is 58. Right? Right. So 58 plus y, doesn't matter the letter really. Makes no difference. It's just an unknown. And this is equal to 60. Therefore, y needs to be equal to 60 minus 58. And so y is equal to 2. Here we have some fractions. So y is equal to 3/5 minus 3/8. Now here you would use the least common multiple technique. And what you would find is 24/40 minus 15/40. By doing this subtraction, you get what? 9/40. Final answer. Here we even have a complex number. So 1 plus 2 1/6 equals 12. So we would get that a is equal to 12 minus 2 1/6. Now we can just do 12 minus 2, and that makes 10. Then we'd also have to subtract 1/6. So we'd have to do 10 minus 1/6, which might seem a little difficult, but you can remember that we can turn this into a fraction that has sixths simply by multiplying it by 6. 60 sixths. So this becomes a equals 59/6. Or if we want to write it as a complex number, we could do that. We could write it, little girl is space. We could write it as a equals 9 5/6. sixths. 9 5/6. All right. Next, we have a plus 0.9 equals 6/5. So we'd have a equals 6/5 minus 0.9. All right. So we first need to turn the 0.9 into a fraction. If you did it the other way, where you could turn this into a decimal number if you wanted to do the subtraction, that's totally possible. I prefer right now to turn this into a fraction. So we would get 6/5 minus 9/10, and this would become 12/10 minus 9/10. So this would become 3/10. First side of worksheet number 2. Moving on. I have a number. I add 47 to it. Make it 63. What's the number? and solve this as an equation. So let's call the number x plus 47. And it gives us 63. Therefore, x must be equal to 63 minus 47. So x is equal to 16. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, so here we need to figure out the cost of going and returning from Italy. So each ticket costs 65 euros. So that's 65 to go plus 65 to return. And we're being told that this girl has 88 already. So she already has 88. And we're trying to figure out how much more does she need to get to this price that she needs, right? So 65 plus 65 would give us 130. So 130 equals 88 plus x. Could write this as x plus 88 equals 130 if we wanted to. And then this would become x equals 130 minus 88, which would give us x equals 42. Right. Worksheet number 2, done. Wait, no, this is the back side of number 3. X minus 10 equals 35. So x is equal to 35 plus 10. Therefore, x is equal to 45. Next, we have that x minus 3.4 is equal to 5. Therefore, x is equal to 5 plus 3.4. Therefore, x is equal to 8.4. Next, we have 420 minus x equals 180. So we do the swap, and we get 420 minus 180 equals x. So x is equal to 240. It's 420 minus 180. The cube of 4, so 4 times 4 times 4, which makes 64 minus x is equal to 19. So we do the swap again, and we get 64 minus 19 equals x. So x is equal to 45. X minus 2/3 is equal to 1 3/4. Now, I'm going to say that x is equal to, and that first of all, I'm bringing 2/3 to the other side, so it's going to become plus 2/3. But at the same time, I'm going to convert the mixed number, into an improper fraction, so I can do the subtraction here. 1 3/4 is equal to 4 times 1, 4 plus 3, 7/4 plus 2/3. So using least common multiples, this becomes 21/12 plus 8/12. So x is equal to 29/12. Next, x minus 0.7 equals 3/20. So x is equal to 3/20 plus 0.7. Again, you can turn this into a decimal point, or you can turn this into a fraction. I prefer to turn this into a fraction because here, to turn this into a decimal point, you'd actually have to do 3 divided by 20. you'd actually have to do long division, which would take some time. Whereas here, then again, here we are going to have to use least common multiples. So either way, whichever way works for you. So 3/20 stays the same, and this fraction becomes 14/20. Now I can add them, so x is equal to 17/20. Next, 1/4 times 9. Okay, so here, 1/4 times 9 is going to be 9/4. And I'm going to immediately do the swap between y and 2. So 9/4 minus 2 is going to be equal to y. Then I'm going to turn this 2 into a fraction with a denominator of 4. So this 9/4 remains the same, minus the 2 will become 8/4 equals y. 9/4 minus 8/4 will be equal to 1/4. So y equals 1/4. Next, we have 4.5 divided by 3 minus a equals 2/10. Now, you probably want to do this long division. So 4.5 divided by 3 would give us 1.5. 1.5 minus, and I'm also going, actually, no, let's not rush it. 2/10. Then I do the swap. So we have 1.5 minus 2/10 equals a. Then I'm going to turn the 1.5 into a fraction. So it comes 15/10 minus 2/10 equals a. So 13/10. Well, a equals 13/10. First side of the third worksheet, done. All right, let's solve some problems. All right, so one student lends some coloring pencils to some of his friends, right? We don't know how many he has in the beginning. We know that he gives out 4 and 6 and 3, and he's left with 12. Now, if you want to do these first before bringing them over to the other side, you need to, as I said in the video, you need to keep in mind that these are all negative numbers. They're being subtracted. So you can't say 4 minus 6 is what? Minus 2. So minus 2, no. It's minus 4 minus 6, which would give us minus 10. Minus 3 would give us minus 13. Now, if you don't want to go into negative numbers, you can just say that I'm going to bring them over to the other side, all of them at the same time, by flipping their sign. So minus 4 is going to become plus 4, minus 6 is going to become plus 6, and minus 3 is going to become plus 3. So now we can say that x is equal to 12 plus 4 plus 6 plus 3, which altogether is 25. So in the beginning, he had 25 coloring pencils. In the next problem, this lady goes out shopping. She buys a 152 € dress plus a pair of shoes that cost half that much, so 152 divided by 2, right? And she has 39 € left, and we're being asked how much money she had in the beginning. Well, let's call that amount of money the unknown, so x. minus all of this. So 152 plus 152 divided by 2. We know that she has 39 euros left over. So we first need to do 152 plus, well, first we need to do 152 divided by 2. So that would be the half of 152 is 76. This has to be equal to 39. So x minus what? 228 needs to be equal to 39. So x is equal to 39 plus 228. So x is equal to 267. So in the beginning, she had 267 euros. Worksheet 3, done. For x equals 60 means that x will be equal to 60 divided by 4. So x is equal to 15. 0.3 times 0.3 times x equals 0.18 means that x is equal, which means that x 18 divided by 3. Yeah, okay. So let's continue. 35x equals to 1.05. X to, well, 183. Yeah. 2.9 equals 24. That x equals to is equal to so x is equal to 108. Next, we have 26 minus 3.5 multiplied by x gives 22.5 x, and this needs to be equal to 225, which means that x needs to be equal to 225 divided by 22.5. And this is going to give us a total of 10. Next, here we have 2 and 1/3 times y equals 2/10 times 6. Let's turn this into an improper fraction, and then at the same time do this multiplication. 2 and 1/3 will become 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7 thirds y twelve tenths. Y means that y will be equal to 12 tenths by 7/3, or 7ths, which means that y is equal to 70ths, which we can leave like that. Next, we have 5 times 9.1 times a is equal to 91 100ths. All right. Now, this is where it comes in handy to have done many subtractions. Because seeing 9.1 here and 91 here tells me that I should actually not do 5 times 9.1. It will come in more handy to just leave it like that. So, but let's just avoid that entirely. Divided by again 5 times 9.1 is going to give us 45.5, and then because 45.5 times a is equal 91 100ths, a will need to be equal to 91 100ths divided by 45.5. A is equal to 91 over 100 multiplied by 40.5. Careful, the 100 is the one multiplied by 45.5. So this should be actually put in parentheses. So A will be equal to 91 over 4,550. Now doing this, I can leave it like that if I want to. Yeah, it would be fine leaving it as 91 over 4,550. That would be fine. But we can simplify this. And if we did, this would become, one moment, 2 100ths. So 50th. If you do the division 4,550 divided by 91, you are going to find 50. So A needs to be equal to 1/50th. All right, next, 18.6 divided by 3 and 1/10, which I am going to immediately turn into 31/10. So let's just do that right now. 18, actually, yeah, 18.6 is going to become a fraction as well. So this is going to become 186/10 divided by 31/10. Thirty-one tenths times 8, please. And this should also be in parentheses. This needs to be equal to 9 squared. Now, doing this division here, so 186/10 divided by 31/10, it's going to give me 1,860 over 310. This needs to be equal to 81. So A is going to be equal to 81 by 1,860 over. So A is going to be equal to 81 times 10. I can simplify this fraction by dividing both numbers by 310, and they become 1/6. Yeah, actually 1/6. And you can see here where simplification is so handy, because imagine having 10 and having to divide by 1,860. Notice is 6 times 31, you get 186, right? So if you multiply 31 by 6, you get 186. Noticing that allowed me to simplify this fraction, make it so much simpler, turn it into 1/6. So if I continue this, what I get is that A is equal to 81 times 1/6 will give us, one moment, 27 halves, which we can just leave like that. 27 halves. If you want to, you can write this as, well, what's the half? 27. 13.5. If you want to, you don't have to. All right, let's move on. We have another. We have rectangle. We have a rectangle that has an area of 13.05. And we're being told that one side is 4.05. And we're being asked the other side. So we need to do 4 times what? So 5x is equal to 13.05. So what's x? In which case x is equal to 13.05 divided by 4 is how much? I suspect that this was meant to be 13.5, but I'm not 100% sure. Because if it was 13.5, then this division would have given us exactly 3. But let's try out the division. Alright. I'm going to try 2. So 2 times 45 is going to be 90. $40, which is less than 45, so I can continue. Carry down the 5. 45 is going to fit into 405. Wait, though, I just carried down the 5, but I crossed here. I crossed the decimal point, so I needed to put a decimal point here. So this 45 fits into 405 exactly 9 times. So no, actually, and then we'd say 405 minus 405, which makes 0. So the answer here is actually 2.9. All right. Next here we have a field trip of 280 kilometers. They decided the group of people that was going on this field trip decided to separate into 3 cars. The first one's going with 80 kilometers an hour. The second one's going with 70 kilometers an hour. The third one 100 kilometers an hour. And we're being asked how long each vehicle took to get there. So say the first one would be x would be equal to 280 divided by the speed, so 80. Wait, yeah. So in that case, 280 divided by 80 would give us 3.5. So in 3.5 hours. Second one, x is equal to 280 again, this time divided by 70, which gives us x equals 4. So that one took 4 hours. Lastly, we have x equals 280 divided by 100, which gives us that x is equal to 2.8. So 2.8 hours, almost 3, a little less. All right, that's worksheet number 4 done. Let's move on to worksheet number 5. We have x divided by 24 equals 7, so x must be equal to 7 times 24, which means that x is equal to, one moment, 168. X divided by 0.08 is equal to 2, so that means that x must be equal to 2 times 0.08, so x must be equal to 0.16. 28.5 divided by x is equal to 9.5. Here I've told you we can do the swap between the x and the 9.5, so we get that 28.5 divided by 9.5 must be equal to x. Therefore, x must be equal to 28.5 divided by 9.5 would give us 3. Yep. 1 divided by x is equal to 0.125. So here we have the swap again, where 1 divided by 0.125 must be equal to x. Therefore, x must be equal to 125. Okay, wait a minute. 8. Not 100% sure. Let me check that. Yep, 8. So this has to be 8. X divided by 10/25 must be equal to 1/5. All right, first I'm going to simplify this fraction, just because immediately we notice that 10 and 25 are both multiples of 5. So we get x divided by 2/5 must be equal to 1/5. Therefore, x must be equal to 1/5 multiplied by 2/5. So x must be equal to 2/25. Next, x divided by 6 is equal to 1 1/4. That means that x divided by 6 must be equal to 5/4. Therefore, x must be equal to 5/4 multiplied by 6. So x must be equal to 30/4, which can be simplified into 15 halves, or if you want to write it as a decimal number, 7.5. Next, we have 5/6 plus 4 divided by x equals 2.7. 5/6 plus 4, let's write that. Let's write 4 as a fraction. So 5/6 stays the same. Then 4 turns into a fraction with a denominator of 6, so 24/6. Divided by x needs to be equal to 2/7. 5/6 plus 24/6 is 29/6. Divided by x, and this needs to be equal to 2/7. Let's move that a little bit. All right. That means that 29/6 divided by 2/7 must be equal to x. Therefore, x must be equal to 29/6 times 7 halves. So 29 times 7 over 6 times 2. So x must be equal to 29 times 7 is going to give us 203 over 12. And can that be simplified? Can't be divided. No, I don't think it can. Yeah, it can't. So 203/12 is our final answer. Next, we have 0.6 divided by x equals 5 squared. So 0.6 divided by x must be equal to 25. Therefore, 0.6 divided by 25 must be equal to x. So x is equal to 0.024, right? Yeah, exactly. All right, first page, done. Moving on. Moving on to the problems. We have a car that cost 10,500 euros. We agreed to pay in payments, and each payment was going to be 700 euros. How many payments is that going to need? So basically we need to say that x times 700x must be equal to 10,500. So x must be equal to 10,500 divided by 700. And this means that x is equal to, 15. Yeah? Yeah, 105 divided by 7 is 15. Great. All right. So for some schoolwork, students had to write 30 pages each. The final work was had 690 pages. So how many students were there? So 30x needs to be equal to 690. That means that x will be equal to 690 divided by 30, which means that x is going to be equal to 23. So 23 kids. And there we go. That's page 2 done of the final worksheet. And now let's move on to the final worksheet. All right. Let's wrap this up. Miss Sophia shared her pension, 535 euros, with her grandkids. How many are the grandkids if they each got 50 and she had 35 left over? So x is the unknown, the number of grandkids, so 50x, 50 times the number of grandkids plus 35, how much she has left over, must be equal to 535. So 50x must be equal to 535 minus 35. So 50x must be equal to 500. Therefore, x must be equal to 500 divided by 50. So x is equal to 10. Next, is this the same lady? No, this is a different lady. She got 10 kilograms of apples and she paid 5 euros and 25 cents in total. So how much is the kilogram? So that means that 10x is equal to 5.25. Let's move this up a little bit. Which means that x must be equal to 5.25 divided by 10. So x is equal to 0.525. That's the price of the kilogram of the apples. This sir got 35. Oh, no, it's not. It's a boy. He got 35 euros from his grandfather for his birthday. Twice as much from his grandmother and some from his mother. He spent 150 euros. So we're being asked how much his mother gave him. No, he didn't spend 150 euros, he gathered 150 euros. So that means that 35 plus 2 times 35, which is how much his grandmother gave him, plus x, which is the amount his mother gave him, which we don't know, must make 150. That means that 35 plus 70 plus x must equal 150. So x plus 105 must equal 150. Oh, I missed a 0 there. So x must be equal to 45. So his mother gave him 45. Next, solve the equations. X plus 4 equals 16, so x must be equal to 16 minus 4, which means that, x must be equal to 12. X minus 6 is 79, so x must be equal to 79 minus 6, which means that x is equal to 73. (18 minus x is equal to 107 minus 90. Alright. 18 minus x is equal to 107 minus 90. It's going to make 17. Therefore, 18 minus 17 equals x. So x equals 1. X divided by 2 equals 1, which means that x is equal to 1 times 2, which I can just write as 2. 24 divided by x must be equal to 1 plus 1.4. So 24 divided by x must be equal to 1 plus 1.4 makes 2.4. And I think we can already see where this is going. (24 divided by 2.4 is equal to x. 24 divided by 2.4 makes 10, which means that x equals 10. 18x times 9, 18x equals 9. So that means that x must equal 9 over 18, which means, well, you can just leave it like that, but it is preferable if you write it as either 1/2 or 0.5. Either way, it's acceptable. X plus 17 equals 35 means that x is equal to 35 minus 17, which means that x is equal to 18. And lastly, x divided by 21 equals 13, means that x is equal to 13 times 21, which means that x is equal to, let's think, 210 plus 63, so 273. If you don't understand what I just did there, I did the calculation 13 times 21 in my mind by doing 10 times 21, 210, makes 210, plus 3 times 21, which is 63, 273 in total. It's basically like doing vertical multiplication in your head. So that's side 1 of the last worksheet. Let's move on to the last page of the last worksheet. John has 2,950 grams of dough. It's called dough, what we make bread with. And he wants to make, let's just call this bread. And each one is going to weigh 200 grams. So how many can he make? Well, he can't make exactly. Can't make, because 2,950 is not perfectly divisible by 200. But he can make some and then a little extra. So you can say 200x equals 2,950, which means that, okay, let's pull this up a little bit. X is going to be equal to 2,950 divided by 200, which means that X is going to be equal to 29.5 divided by 2, so 14.75. Wait, is it? Yep, that's exactly it. 14.75. Yep. All right. We have someone who wants to buy a wooden chessboard. It costs 65 euros. She has 42 euros. And how much does she need to buy it? Okay, so 42 plus x equals 65. So x must be equal to 65 minus 42. So x is equal to 23. Now we need to write these as equations. Well, not equations exactly. Just using a variable. So x. The double of a number, which is 2x. Number reduced by 5, so x minus 5. Number increased by 8, so x plus 8. The quadruple of a number increased by 6. So 4x plus 6, 10 times as much as the number reduced by 7, so 10x minus 7. Now, lastly, we have a lady who is 42 years old and her son is 18. How old is her husband? If we know that the sum of their ages is 103. So that means that 42 plus 18 plus the unknown x, which is the age of the father, is a grand total of 103. 42 and 18 makes 60. So 60 plus x must make 103. So x must be equal to 43. So the data is 43. Lastly, let's solve these final equations. X divided by 12 equals 60 means that x is equal to 60 times 12. So x must be equal to 720. 80 divided by x, we do the swap, so 80 divided by 8 equals x. So x equals 10. 62 plus x equals 94 minus 26. So x must be equal to 94 minus 26 would give us, 68 minus 62. I sent it to the other side. So x must be equal to 6. 72 minus x equals 32. Means that 72 minus 32 equals x. So x equals 40. X minus 54 equals 92. So x equals 92 plus 54, which means that x is equal to 146. 90x equals 360 means that x is equal to 360 divided by 90. So x equals 4. And that is all. Have a good weekend. See you on Monday.